Hello everyone. This is Man United again on it, welcome back. Confirmed 11, Rashford back to face Copenhagen, HOJLUND, Fernandes and Garnacho also start as Ten Hag seeks victory in Denmark. Manchester United return to UEFA Champions League action on Wednesday evening as they travel to Denmark to face FC Copenhagen. United beat the Danish side a fortnight ago, registering their first victory in the competition this season, a terrible start for Erik Ten Hag's side. United have not just started terribly in the Champions League this season, they are also out of the Carabao Cup, beaten by Newcastle United, last season's finalists, and have lost 5 of their 11 matches in the Premier League so far this season. United need results, and fast. United have lost to both Bayern Munich and Galatasaray in the Champions League so far this season, so a victory here will put them in good stead to get out of the group. However, they will need to beat both Bayern and Galatasaray in the last 2 group stage matches to be certain. Manchester United squad: Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Evans, Dalot, McTominay, Eriksen, Rashford, Fernandes, Garnacho, HOJLUND. Substitutes: Bayender, Heaton, Lindelof, Reguilon, Varane, Amrabat, Mount, Hannibal, Forson, Martial, Antony, Pellistri. FC Copenhagen squad: Grabara, Enkersen, Vavro, Dix, Jalert, Lariger, Falk, Goncalves, Elyounousi, Klaassen, Akuri. Substitutes: Sander, Dithmer, Sorensen, Tanlongo, Larsen, Babakar, Oscarsson, Boylsson, Lund, HOJLUND, Bargi, Froholt. United have boosted their confidence in the 1-0 victory over Fulham in the Premier League on Saturday, although they did leave it late to get the win. 3 points were a must for United, and that's what they got, which took some pressure off Ten Hag in the end. United will need the same game plan against Copenhagen on Wednesday evening, as they will need 3 points from this match to have any chance of getting out of the group this season, even if it saw them exit into the UEFA Europa League for the second part of the season. United will need to get themselves out of the problems that have arisen this season. It could be a confidence thing, a protest against the manager, or a number of other reasons. The manager knows what he has to do, and the players will one day realize that it's their job to perform. So, welcome Chris. First question: after what has been a rocky week for Marcus Rashford, can we expect to see him start against Copenhagen in what is a must-win game tonight? Chris Wheeler: it's a close call, and that says a lot about Rashford's season so far. I believe Ten Hag when he says Rashford was injured for the game at Fulham, but it did look suspicious after he criticized the player for celebrating his birthday after the Manchester Derby defeat. Alejandro Garnacho played on the left at Craven Cottage and did okay, so, you're right, it will be interesting to see who gets the nod in Copenhagen tonight. I think it will be Rashford, but I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho keeps his place either. In our Manchester United Confidential column this week, yourself and other contributors reported that the future of the atmosphere section at Old Trafford is under threat. Why are the club risking alienating even more fans with something like this? Chris Wheeler: I really don't know. You would have thought that maintaining a good relationship with the Red Army is in the club's interests, particularly after such a bumpy start to the season. It seems like an issue that can be easily resolved if United keep the allocation as it is or ease back on their requirements regarding season tickets. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I would have thought they can sort this out. There have been other issues between United and TRA in the past which have been ironed out. Despite a few boos here and there, the fans have stayed behind the club this season, and it needs to stay that way. And what is going on with Raphael Varane? Ten Hag confirmed he was dropped for tactical reasons recently, which doesn't sound great for a player of his supposed quality. Chris Wheeler: another good question. Something doesn't seem right here. Varane has had his injury problems, mainly with his knees, but he's an automatic starter when fit and a hugely experienced player. Suddenly, he was left out of the derby for tactical reasons, ill for the Newcastle defeat, and then an 89th minute sub at Fulham. If he doesn't start in Copenhagen, there will be questions. I think he will, though, with Maguire moving to the left side of central defense. It's symptomatic of a difficult start to the season for Ten Hag that there have been issues surrounding Varane, Casemiro, and Rashford, 3 of his go-to players last season. Another question: has Ten Hag finally run out of patience with Antony? He's been well off the pace and has been linked with the exit. Chris Wheeler, the problem with Antony, one of several, you could argue, is that no player is more closely associated with Ten Hag. He played under Eric at Ajax and UTD really pushed the boat out to sign him for £82 million. He's rarely come close to justifying that. It's not surprising that Ten Hag has kept faith with him, and some would say too much so. One of Sancho's gripes is said to be that he thought Antony got preferential treatment. I don't think Ten Hag lost patience with him. He started at Fulham and will probably be in the lineup against Copenhagen tonight. But Pellistri did well off the bench again and Ahmad will be back soon. Antony needs to raise his game because he's bringing Ten Hag's judgment into question. I don't think there's any chance of him leaving, as it stands though. As you mentioned previously with Maguire, he and McTominay looked prime candidates to be sold in the summer, but both have forced their way back into Ten Hag's plans. Do they now have a future at United? Chris Wheeler, yes, is the short answer. Nothing is set in stone in football, and both players deserve a huge amount of credit for sticking at it. Maguire, in particular, was in a bad place being booed by his own fans for club and country. I was in Melbourne when we heard it for the first time on tour in the summer of 2022 and it was depressing. Harry has kept his head down and mouth shut, even though Ten Hag clearly didn't fancy him. He's got his chance due to injury and seized it with both hands. I'm still not sure he starts if Martinez is fit, mind. McTominay is the same, he could have gone to West Ham in the summer as well but stayed at United, and it's paid off with strong performances and crucial goals. There's an argument for saying these two have kept Ten Hag in a job. What position do you see Mason Mount occupying short-term or long-term in this team? It's hard to see him breaking into the starting 11 despite his obvious talent. Chris Wheeler, it's a very good question and one many fans asked when United spent £60 million to sign Mount from Chelsea in the summer. 4 months on, and we still don't have many answers. It was a curious deal given that one. United desperately needed a new striker and had a limited budget and they have other players in Mount's position. He was brought in to add dynamism to the midfield and looked the part in pre-season. But he doesn't have the defensive qualities to play in the pivot and he's not really a right winger. That leaves number 10 and it's hard to see him dislodging Fernandes. As long as Ten Hag sticks with 4-2-3-1, he will have to his chances and at the moment they are coming off the bench. If I had to pick a starting spot for him right now, it would probably be on the right simply because of Antony's poor start.